again. And I'm on here live right now. Let me get off the phone. I can talk you through it. Can you see me? I'm on live. And I just tweeted one out, and I'm going to do one to Facebook.
Showing me the video. It's trying to give me the schedule of the event, but it doesn't, pop up. It's too many attending. Even if I go all the way down here, which says ESP Tony Lindsay, 9 o'clock. I click on that. And it just goes to the video.
Okay, I'm going to send you out one. Just grab this one. I'm sending it out on Facebook. It's got a T on it. And I know if I'll see you in that corner there.
Yes, I'm live now. I'm clicking around.
Okay, I see you right there. I'm gonna get you in here.
Okay, good. Now you click out. Okay, I'm going to accept.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, accept me. Here we go, guys. Loading up. Oh no, it went out. I'm not sure what happened, so I'll do it again. Not really sure what happened. It says loading. I'm gonna do it again. Don't go anywhere. I don't know if you could hear me. Hopefully you can. Yeah, you have to subscribe again, so make sure you subscribe. It says loading. We're going to make this happen. So guys, we're having a little difficulty, but we'll make it happen. Hello, how are ya? Thanks for coming. Tony should be coming on in a few. Thank you for coming. I hadn't seen you in a while. Hopefully you'll be able to stay in. Guru. Not sure what's going on. Okay, we're going to get Tony in, so just stay put. Just stay put. We'll work it in. It's going to happen. Very exciting topic. We'll get him in here. Hello. Thank you guys for joining. Okay. Yep. You can accept the, hopefully we get you in here. I don't know why it keeps bouncing back out. Not sure. It says loading on my side. So are you on your computer, or I see you up here twice. Are you on your computer or on your phone? And sometimes on that, you could see a camera from below or camera on top. I'm not sure where yours is. So guys, as we get them up in here.
See me?
It's loading and.
I see you. You see me?
I see you now.
Okay. All right.
Wow, it took a while to accept you.
Yeah.
Nice background, nice beard working. Got your drink on, and you got your earbuds in, right?
I do. I saw that Guru was saying he needed his coffee. I completely understood. I tried to get mine going too.
Good. So this is our recaps. We had a couple of people in the queue, and so they'll pop in and out. So it's you and I and some people looking on. Sometimes they look on and they don't come necessarily in, but at the end of the show, it'll tell you what's going on. So how's it going? What's going on before we get started, and where you been and where you going?
Okay. All right. Well, school started back, so I'm teaching and writing. I did finish the manuscript that I was working on last time we spoke, A Killing Breeze. So that's I got that in the hands of Penknife Press. So they're gonna probably do that one in the beginning of the year. And that's another racial piece.
Wow.
It's probably my first book. Yeah, it's my first book on satire. So it's satirical in nature. So I'm pretty excited about that. This one's been getting, a couple of people have been reviewing and sending me texts about Acorns and the Skillet. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, teaching, composition, couple of junior colleges. So things are moving. It's just, a moving time.
Sounds good. So your manuscript that you got in the hand of your I forgot if you said publisher or whoever you got it in the hands of. So would that be out this year, or is just kind of running through it?
Probably January, February next year.
I'll be looking for that. Did you give me a title? Was there a title on it?
The Killing Breeze.
That's what I thought you said. The Killing Breeze.
Yeah, The Killing Breeze.
Oh my! I wonder if it's real. Is it real graphic or?
No, it's not that graphic. You'll enjoy it.
Okay,
You'll like it.
Okay. all I can see is Renaissance man or something. Yeah. So I'll be good. I'll be good. That is too funny. So today, guys, this is Tony Lindsay. I'll start all over. I'm Ellen Suddeth of ESP Presents. Is there an echo that you can hear?
No, I can't hear one.
Okay, I can hear. I'm glad you don't. And what we do is host and set up book signings. We have Tony Lindsay here. We're doing a recap over the things we talked about in his book, Acorns in a Skillet. And also he's going to do a reading of one of my favorites again. and he's going to tell us about the contents. Each one, I guess you could say chapter by chapter and break it down. And also, I love the way you break down what it means as far as acorns in a skillet. So breaking that down is awesome. The story that we'll read, you will read, is called The Cattle Call. So before I get in that, let them know about you as an author, about yourself, and did your dog come back?
No, my dog's gone. She did not come back. So I'm pretty sure, because she was old. She's like 14, 15. I think somebody just probably kept her. And whoever kept her, they probably didn't live in the neighborhood or something. I don't know.
Oh.
But no, she didn't come back. And don't want another one, not anytime soon anyway. My wife was like, well, I'm going to tape that. We'll see. But I really don't want another dog. I loved her, but I don't want to. I'm doing too much. I'm gone too much to have a dog that'll, So Acorns in the Skillet, it's a collection of short stories. And the story is about racecraft. What racecraft is, it's what happens when someone completely accepts the fallacy of white supremacy. Their behavior is affected, their attitudes are affected, and this is racecraft. When you believe that whites are superior to everyone else, and that belief does affect your behavior. It was coined by Barbara and Karen Lewis, sociologists and historians. So it's their book, Racecraft, is how I took that title after I read the book. I was like, oh, this fits perfectly into what I've written. The title, Acorns in the Skillet, each group has cultural things that encase us. And that's where we are the acorns in our own culture and our own beliefs. We are the acorns. The skillet is generally America itself. And we are bumping to each other. But I think we're better within the skillet than if we fall into the fire outside of the country. That's just even though we may have conflicts here, I think it's better here. And that's so that's Acorns in the Skillet. The story you like, Cattle Call, is a story about a young man doesn't even know he's involved in systemic racism. He doesn't know he is. He thinks he's, perfectly okay.
Before you get into the story, go and tell them the other contents, and then we'll go back in that story and read that story. But tell them the different different layers to this story.
To this story.
Yeah.
Or to the
other stories. Like the contents, like we did before. Go down each story.
Okay, the very first one is Stop and Frisk. And this is the story of a young man who is turned around from his life's goals by systemic racism or by being stopped. He is actually set off of his course that he was working on when he is stopped and frisked by police. And it shows how the policy can affect an individual on different levels. Homegrown, that's actually chapter 1 of my new book. It's part of the first chapter of my new book. So I've used the story. But this is the story of a man who wants to be assimilated so badly that it has really antisocial effects on his behavior. He wants to assimilate to society so badly that that the result is this antisocial behavior. I think now that one will probably scare you a little bit. A Church Morning, it was a fun piece to write, but it's a story about someone who has moved beyond where she was in life, and she recognizes this move. So it's a coming of age piece. Coming of age story. The Cattle Call, again, that's the story about the young man who doesn't know that he is a racist. A Sunny Day in the Park is a story of privilege, but it's not the privilege of the protagonist. It's the privilege of someone else who uses her privilege to attack the protagonist. A Smart Kid is a story of a young man who doesn't know his own intellect. He doesn't know the things that he's been doing allows him to be what society considers an intelligent individual. He doesn't know that. So it becomes apparent in this story. The process is a story of loss. It's the beginning stages of grief. So it's a good story. It's a story of two people who wouldn't normally be together, who are together due to grief. Interview with the Killer. This is a comment on current police shootings, but it's from the side of the police officer as opposed to the side of the victim. Lab coat required. This is a story of a simple conflict. But again, it's two people who are so starkly different on the outer surface, but then from their differences, they're both female. So they ended up helping each other over a female issue. The Mart Man is a story I hope doesn't happen, but it's a story of people who sell the melanin during a time in the future when melanin is sold, and it's a pretty stark story. It's a little dark, but it's really it's race. It's definitely race. And the last one is Operation Tooth Fairy, which is a story of inclusion. You see different races or different people in one family who come together, and this is how I think things should be. This is my happy ending on it all at the end. Okay.
And we'll go right into the story.
Okay. And again, it is called The Cattle Call, and it starts on page 21. I take my glasses off.
That's what I have to do too.
Okay. 4 heads, of which I am one, are bent over employment packets on the boardroom table. Our heads are in the 3rd hour of what I nickname cattle calls. These cattle calls are open interviews for sales staff, and none of the heads, including myself, enjoy them because of the low ratio of qualified applicants garnered from the calls. But the order came down from up high to do one, so we're doing one. Of the 53 packets already reviewed, the team has conducted a total of 8 interviews, with only 1 second interview extended. I began reading over my 15th packet of the morning, and I see the applicant has a Series 7 and 66 licenses, along with a graduate of Michigan State and Kellogg, a TEAC, and 6 years of sales experience with Morgan Stanley. The resume causes me to pull up the chair's adjustment level, bringing the heavy cushion back straight. I pledged Tau Kappa Epsilon 8 years ago myself. Looking to the papers on the table, I find the resume's accompanying application and check the reference names. None of the names none of the 5 names ring a bell. Hey Reynolds, it's time for a smoke break. The sandpaper scratchy voice of Patrick Kearney, a constant irritant to me and the firm's most productive sales manager, interrupts my reviewing of the employment packet. My eyes remain on the resume, not looking up at Kearney, because I don't want to see his cherub round face grinning and trying to promote an okay, go smoke out of me. Smoking is a weakness, a horrible habit I kicked 6 years ago myself, because it represents a character flaw. A person that smokes, knowing that smoking is killing them, is weak psychologically. There's no further explanation. Not to mention that the disgusting addiction interferes with the work of the office. And of course, it will be foul-mouthed, disrespectful Kearney who requests a smoke break. And like mindless drones, the other 2 team members will follow suit, and the employment interviews will come to a halt. Their 3 pairs of eyes are boring into the top of my head, awaiting my response. Smoke if you must. Without looking up, I hear all 3 interviewers rolling back their chairs and leaving the boardroom. Nicotine junkies, I say once the door closes. There's no sense in insulting them outright. Sifting the applicant's cover letter, I read that he has been in the top 5% of producers for the past 5 years. The linen quality of the resume cover letter impresses me because I used the same paper during my job hunt. Although my hunt didn't consist of cattle calls, I hand-delivered 3 resumes, one to my uncle, another to the firm my brother started, and a third to my father. My father had me bring the Rufus, the human resource manager who retired when I graduated. The applicant's undergraduate transcripts show a 3.5 GPA with a solid 4.0 from Kellogg MBA. The kid looks good on paper. Sometimes the cattle cause pays off. The applicant really couldn't be a kid. 4 years of undergraduate work puts him at 21. Another 2 to 3 at Kellogg had him at 23 or 24, and 6 years at Morgan Stanley. The kid was at least 35, 5 years older than me. I slipped my feet back into my black wingtips, preparing to go out to reception and call the applicant in for the first interview. Glancing again at the name atop of the resume, Vincent Murphy, this gives me pause. I look to the address, South Side, Far South. An ethnically mixed name from the South Side of Chicago could be a problem. But after 3 slow muttering cows, interviewing a stellar prospect would be refreshing. I twist my left foot, the larger one, down into my shoe and swing my feet from beneath the boardroom table and bend down to my laces. As the human resource manager, I am aware of the cultural climate of the firm. And before he retired and passed the job over to me, Rufus made it clear that the maintenance of the climate was the HR manager's responsibility. The senior partners at Reynolds, Coleman, and Baker are all white Anglo-Saxon Protestant males. The next executive tier of management is close to the same, with the exception of Patrick Kearney. Frontline supervisors and the sales staff contain 2 women, 1 Mexican, 1 Iranian, and all were hired by me. Doing what I can for diversity, because this firm, like other financial services, will have to go global to survive, and being diverse is a must. I was not thinking human resources when I graduated. The monitoring of new laws, benefits packages, and staffing were the mundane tasks of clerks, not the duties of the top producing broker or the inevitable CEO of Reynolds, Coleman, and Baker that I was planning on becoming. The global marketing division with its world travel was for me. But my father, Todd Franklin Reynolds II, wanted me in human resources. So HR it has been for the past 4 years. What I once thought of as a clerk's duties are the tasks to fill my days. But my patience has been rewarded. This morning, my father laid a proposal on my desk for opening an office in Japan and asked me, do you want to handle the chief of staff position? Baker's boy Chad will be divisional head, but you will be second in command. Without a doubt, Father, was my immediate response, allowing a smile to break from my usually serious face. I've worked on keeping the smiles to a minimum at the office. A focused demeanor works best here. If the information concerning Japan had come from anyone else, I would have hugged them. The information moved me so, but my father and I don't hug. We never have. We're not a hugging family. But I do hug others. Well, no, I don't hug others either. Before Todd Franklin Reynolds II entered the corner office, the corner of human resources, which I had made into an office with petitions from Office Supply Catalog, the pleasant odor of fresh jasmine was in the air. The owner of the building's flower shop, a small Filipino woman whom I thought was Mexican, with large brown eyes, dark enough to be mistaken for black, pitched me in the elevator last spring about having flowers delivered twice a week to the office. Agreeing to deliveries proved a good decision because the fresh flowers do promote smiles. But the fresh scent of jasmine was bullied this morning. My father brought the pungent smell of sickness to my makeshift corner office. I think the bandage on his obsessive knee needed to be changed. Good, was my father's reply to me agreeing to accept the chief of staff position. He continued with, because there are some concerns from other partners, but I went to bat for you. The appointment is yours, and son, I'm certain this hasn't been an easy 3 years for you, but you've managed to keep your eyes and mind to the horizon. 4 years, I didn't bother to correct him. I watched the slight jiggling of my father's jaws due to the Parkinson's tremors, and I remembered my 8th grade tennis coach who introduced my father as a man among men at the tennis awards banquet. I was receiving a trophy for the most improved player, but my father, the keynote speaker, made no reference to my trophy. He only spoke of looking to the horizon and improving the future with hard work of the present. Would the tennis coach still think of my father with an abscessing knee and jiggling jaws as a man among men? I doubt it. Hearing my father going to bat for me against the other partners would have been a pleasure because most of the words that come through his whitened capped teeth in regards to my brother or me are critical. My father's constant belittlement of our deeds as children and teens is what caused my brother Todd to open his own farm in lieu of working for the more established family one. Father will stop a dandelion from growing. Come work with me, my brother encouraged on my graduation day. But no, I follow my father's footsteps in the Reynolds, Coleman, and Baker. However, the payout, Japan, with a leadership position, is close at hand. Patrick Kearney and the rest of the staff could kiss my daddy's boy's ass. As chief of the staff of a division, my work, not their opinion, not the opinion of salesmen, would speak for me. The prejudiced judgment thought of me somehow being lesser because I'm a partner's son is over. Kearney and his salesmen and all their snide, disrespectful comments provided me the fodder for my climb. The proposal has the office opening in 3 months, 90 days. That is a toilet flush away. Let the smokers smoke. I am Japan bound. The Southside address under the name on the resume almost causes me to stay seated, but the chance of a good interview motivates me to stand and walk down the hall toward reception. The pearl face of my petite Philippe reads 10:30. My brother should be in his office by now. The second smile of the morning expanding across my face. The conversation we will have about me going to Japan should be interesting. Tom will be both proud and a little envious. The reception area and the applicants are steps away. Business requires the smile to leave my face. In the doorway beyond the reception desk, I look into the waiting area and see about 20 remaining job seekers. Of the 20, one is black, and he is the only one looking in my direction with a smile. He is a weird-looking guy with Asian eyes and Asian hair with dark brown, regular black guy skin. He is sitting in the armchair that allows a visitor to see the entrance and the doorway leading to the bullpen and manager's office. The applicant's legs are crossed with a foot on his knee. He is wearing a blue Brooks Brothers suit. I'm wearing the same suit in dark gray. He has on a crisp white shirt with a blue and gray striped tie and black wingtips. He continues to look at me smiling. Vincent Murphy, I call, hoping it's not the arrogant black guy. But of course, the black man raises his hand, nods, and stands. Damn it, the name and the address were indicators. The interview is going to be a waste of time. Just once in 75 years has the firm of Reynolds, Coleman, and Baker hired a black broker. Harold Washington was the mayor, and the office joke was that the broker didn't stay long enough for the ink on his business cards to dry. I might be able to hire a black woman, but a black guy? The climate couldn't take it. People would be too uncomfortable. The arrogance black males project doesn't add to the cohesiveness of a well-ran firm. Come this way, I say, not offering my hand when Vincent Murphy gets to me. I never shake the applicant's hand until after the first interview. There's no sense in extending false hope to job seekers who might not be worth a moment's notice. The boardroom where the interviews are held is large enough for semi-private interviews at the lengthy leather padded table. My suggestion of holding 4 interviews simultaneously works. It quickly eliminates the unqualified cows and unwanted job seekers such as Vincent Murphy. The small reception area is deceptive to the true size of the firm. Once an applicant walks through the door and down the short hallway, they see the broker's bullpen area and the glass doors of the management offices outline the bullpen. Never do I slow my pace when walking an applicant through. If they make it past interview 1, then I will give them a tour. When Vincent Murphy and I enter the boardroom, 2 of the interviewers are back from their smoke break. Both the sales managers, Patrick Kearney and Troy Akron. Vincent Murphy, meet Troy Akron and Patrick Kearney, I say. Troy Akron, a blonde 30-year-old who looks and at times acts like a 19-year-old, walks directly to the applicant. Vincent, my man, what's up? I didn't know you were looking. I thought Morgan Stanley had those platinum handcuffs on you, bro. Troy Atkins does extend his hand and shakes hands with Vincent Murphy. You know, we got something for you dudes this year during the tournament. Ain't gonna be another blowout. You can bet that, bro. We got that big kid from Chase running center, dog. No more blowouts. I see Vincent Murphy's face relaxing with being recognized by Akron. He rarely shakes his hand and smiles. The urban dialect Akron chooses to speak in causes my toes to ball up within my wingtips. Akron, a Princeton grad, is grating my nerves. I never understood why white people think sounding like an uneducated black person is cool. I'm sure Vincent Murphy is offended. If I were a black guy, I would be. Wishful thinking, Akron. If you and your squad had LeBron James and Larry Bird, you guys still wouldn't get the tournament trophy. That still is at home in our case, Vincent Murphy says to Akron. No, no, bro. Nothing is forever in that league. You know this. Bro, they are not brothers. And I have never heard Akron refer to anyone else as bro. He must be stopped before Vincent Murphy justifiably goes postal. Ah, you two are acquainted, I see. I say, interrupting. Yep, me and Murphy in the same Thursday night board of trade league. The one I've been trying to get you to join for 2 years, Akron says, playfully punching me on the shoulder. That was his first time touching me in 4 years. I have been at the firm, and I don't plan on it happening again anytime soon. I step out of Akron's reach. I detest basketball because people assume since I am 6'3" that I can play the game. I can't play. My father didn't allow my brother or me to play as children, calling it a coons game, and he insisted that we both play tennis and golf. Murphy's team won the league's finals 2 years in a row. He got MVP both years, but times are changing, bro. We are bringing the thunder this year, Akron says, answering my question, but patting Vincent on the back. Thunder without lightning is all noise, Akron, and that's all I'm hearing from you now, noise. Vincent Murphy adjusts his tie at the knot. History speaks for itself. Murphy, Patrick Kearney stands from the table, extending his hand as well. Vincent Murphy shakes it and answers, Kearney. The link Saturday? Kearney asks. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Bring your money. I won't need mine if you're coming. Vincent Murphy brings a smile. You needed it last week. That was a fluke, Kearney, and we both know it. Whatever, Murphy. Your 5C notes comforted me all the way home. I pray my mouth isn't hanging open. Several times, Kearney has been called to the carpet due to me reporting his inappropriate comments about blacks during staff meetings. And each time my father squashed the complaint, offering excuses such as boys will be boys, or those are colloquialisms, don't take them serious. A man who has made as many hateful statements as Kearney has made about blacks shouldn't have black friends or social acquaintances. Being unable to stop myself from asking him the obvious question, I say, you two are acquainted as well? With a toothy grin, Kearney answers, Murphy is the newest member of my country club, and luckily he was placed in my tee-off party. Well, lucky at least for me, because his golf game is about as good as yours, Calvin. That was a shock. I would have bet my Beamer that Kearney didn't play golf with a black guy. Calvin, I need the keys out of your office. Can I get them before you begin interviewing Murphy? Kearney walks to the door. There are no keys in my office for Kearney. The only things in my office associated with Kearney is a pack of cigarettes and a lighter that I took off the bathroom sink while he was in the stall smoking, despite the city ordinance and my memo. But Kearney doesn't know I have the cigarettes. He came out of the bathroom accusing others for stealing them. I'm hesitant to leave the boardroom, but I figure Kearney asking for the keys is a rouse to speak to me outside of the boardroom. When I walk out, Kearney closes the boardroom door and pulls me by my suit jacket towards the bullpen, stopping at the first sales desk. I have to forcibly wipe his hands off my jacket. Have you lost your mind? Kearney rolls his eyes to the top of his head and ignores the question. Listen to me, daddy's boys. Through instantly tightened lips and clenched teeth, I say, I've told you about calling me that. I'm aware of that, Daddy. I'm aware that Daddy's boys, with every salesperson in the firm, calls me behind my back. But Kearney is the only one bold enough to call me the name to my face. Kearney takes a deep breath, makes an audible exhale. Okay, Calvin, listen to me. That guy there, he hikes his thumb back towards the boardroom, his black Chicago wealth. His personal book of business includes Jordan, Oprah, Kanye, Jesse, and other spook you can name in Chicago with money, and any other spook you can name in Chicago with money. And again, my lips tightens. No racial epithets, please. You know better, Kearney. Dismissing my complaint with a neck-clearing wave, Kearney runs his hands over the crown of his bald head and gets close enough for me to smell his breath mint and cigarette and see the sunburned skin crusted atop his nostrils. Hear this, daddy's boy. If you let that black person walk out of here without making him an offer, I will personally shove my whole foot up your ass. I don't know why he's looking for a new job, but whatever the reason, lock him in. Give him whatever the fuck he wants. I'm going to pull Akron's dumb ass out of there and you go back in and close him like your balls depended on it, because they do. I'm going to send in your daddy in about 10 minutes. Don't fuck it up. That guy in there is flown to D.C. once a month to play basketball with Obama. He is not your run-of-the-mill BET black guy. Handle it the right way, Calvin. There is heat in the nape of my neck, which is always present when talking to Kearney, but this time the warmth is spreading and moving up to my cheeks. I must be turning red. Kearney is a small-minded, antiquated 1950s throwback. I know that, but knowing that doesn't stop me from reacting to his callousness. The smart thing to do in this situation is to smile and nod, which is what I do. Thanks for the advice. I will do my best. As long as Kearney is the number one producer, I have learned he is as much part of the firm as a partner, and any intervention on my part is pointless. You do that, daddy's boy. Kearney pokes me in the chest with his index finger, turns and walks back to the boardroom. My mind and eyes on the pressure and smudge Kearney's poke left in my flesh and on my tie. You fat, stubby, bald-headed son of a bitch. If you ever touch me again, I will have your job. None of the employees passing hear my heated words. I exhale, adjust my tie, run my hand down my jacket, and walk back to the boardroom. When I get to the door, Kearney, Akron, and the HR journalists are exiting. Good luck, Akron quickly says in passing. I enter and close the boardroom door behind myself. Vincent Murphy is still standing next to the table with attaché case in hand. Please have a seat, Mr. Murphy. Vincent, please, he says, pulling out the chair closest to him, but not sitting. I am aware that he is waiting for me to sit first. I do and position his resume in front of myself on the table. Vincent sits across from me. 6 years with Morgan Stanley. Wow. Why are you looking? When I shift my attention from the resume to Vincent, I can't read the expression on his face. A smile of sorts, but his brown eyes have a serious cast. He looks as if he is questioning something. A number of reasons, Mr. Reynolds. A pregnant pause follows, but I don't give the permission for my first. A number of reasons, Mr. Reynolds. A pregnant pause follows, but I don't give the permission for my first name to be used. I see Vincent's eyebrows raise and fall in a millisecond. The most important reason being upward mobility. I don't see a clear path to management in my division. The management above me is 5 to 10 years my senior. Advancement will come only if one of them leaves, and that doesn't appear to be happening anytime soon. I nod in agreement. Understandable. Well, we are growing, and I'm sure you're aware. Vincent is not really smiling, but I see his teeth. I make a mental note to practice such a look in the mirror. It is quite a disarming effect. Yes, the word on the street is Japan, and as my resume reflects, I speak Japanese fluently and spent 12 years there as a child into my teenage years. My father was career military, and my mother's Japanese. So we visit frequently. I have travel plans at the end of this month, a vacation to Tokyo with my fiance. She has never been. I must have heard him wrong. My eyes are fluttering. Damn it. How could he possibly know of Japan? That proposal was dated with today's date. My blinking has stopped, thank God. I was just told this morning. Why would a job applicant be aware of it? You've heard about our possible expansion to Japan? Yes. I had an early breakfast with a recruiter this morning who's finishing the idea. I figured if she was fishing, I can come straight to the source. Which recruiter? The girl from Banner, Patrice. Patrice is Trad's sister. He and 3 other people make up the global marketing arm of our firm. It makes sense for him to head the division to Japan. The plan may have just been mentioned to me, but obviously others have been working on it. No matter, last man on the deal team to know or not, Japan is in my future. And Beatrice was searching for management? No, her interest seemed to be sales staff. And that was another reason I answered your employment advertisement. I figured if I came in, it would improve my chances for management consideration. Understandable. But at this juncture, we're only interviewing for sales staff for this office, the Chicago office. Would you be interested? And please keep in mind that we do offer excellent management training program. What will be the timeline for consideration for Japan? There's no concrete timeline. It would depend on your personal development, in which will be overseen by a sales manager. Oh, I see. I see disappointment in Vincent Murphy's expression and hear it in his voice, and for some reason, I am pleased by it. The boardroom door opens, and Vincent and I look to it and see my father entering. You know, it's the darndest thing. I had just got off the phone with Beatrice about a Vincent Murphy, and then Kearney comes into my office telling me that there's an outstanding candidate interviewing in our boardroom named Vincent Murphy. Are the two the same, sir? My father asked Vincent. Yes, Mr. Reynolds, he answered, standing and extending his hand. My father shakes his hand and smiles. And you know something else? I just got a call from Jackson Murphy this morning. We both sit on the YMCA and Culture Center boards. He called me about his son interviewing with my farm. Boy, you pulled out all the stops, didn't you? My father's still shaking Vincent Murphy's hand and still smiling. Yes, sir, I did. That's good, real good to see. My father lets go of Vincent's hand and sits next to me. Vincent also returns to his chair. Well, from what your dad tells me, you've been looking for an opportunity to work in Japan. Yes, sir, I have. And he says you speak Japanese as well as your mother. Not quite, sir, but I do speak a tad bit better than my father. Well, that's a strong plus for you here. And Kearney tells me you have a book of business consisting of some of the city's most prominent citizens. We could certainly use that with an opening a foreign office. Do you think your clients will be interested in the Asian market? Yes, sir. And those that don't will have, and those that don't will have those that don't will once I lay out the prospectus for them. Good, good. Well, I see no reason why not to welcome you to Reynolds, Coleman, and Baker. What? No, I must not have heard him right. I am looking steadily at my father, hoping to catch his glance so he can see the disapproval in my expression. But our eyes don't meet. Who does see my expression is Vincent Murphy, and he slightly shakes his head to the negative in response to it. Go back to Morgan Stanley and do what you have to do to wrap things up, but don't take more than 3 weeks. We want you involved with the Japan move. Beatrice told me your sales number, and they're fantastic. You'll be reporting directly to my son as the broker. Preliminary plans have a staff of 15 brokers, but every one going over there is expected to sell. What is my father doing? Only family is hired on a handshake at Reynolds, Coleman, and Baker. My father is smiling as if he has just given a new knee or something. He raises from the chair, and to me, he says, a 15% increase to the package he had at Morgan Stanley, and we will cover all relocation expenses. Again, welcome aboard, Vincent, and you and your parents have to come out to the house soon for dinner. No is not an option. He winks at Vincent. Mr. Reynolds, I am more than flattered by your offer, but unfortunately, I cannot accept. I do not believe me and, he opens his palm towards me, this Mr. Reynolds will work well together as subordinate and superior. I am uncertain as to why, but there's some hostility between us. You two had a relationship before? My father asked. No, we both answered. What hostility? I've been as professional as possible with him. He must be one of those oversensitive black guys who thinks everyone white is a racist. He is looking at my father, purposely not making eye contact with me. My father looks from him to me, back to him, and again to me with a questioning look that I can't answer. So I decide to ask Vincent Murphy, what is he talking about? Vincent, what hostility are you speaking of? His eyebrows rise. Are you kidding? No, not at all, I say. Okay. First, you refused to shake my hand when we met. Then you walked so fast in the hall that I had to almost jog to keep up with you. It was as if you were trying to get the interview process over as quickly as possible. If Akron and Kearney weren't here, I would have not interviewed it. I would have not interviewed. I would have left and never. My father interrupts with a chuckle. Okay, now I understand, Vincent. Please allow me to explain. My son is a very focused person. He's often mistaken for being rude, and he does take a little getting used to. With that said, perhaps this will be best. We here at Reynolds, Coleman, and Baker are still willing to offer you the sales manager position. As a sales manager, you and Calvin will be equals, both reporting to Chad. How does that sound? What the fuck just happened? Yes, as equals. I think we could work together, Vincent agrees. Now, we could not work together because we are not equals. I have been at this firm for 4 years. I have a vested interest. My grandfather founded the firm. Vincent Murphy just walked through the damn door and we are equals. The sickness in my father's knee must have spread to his brain. Good evening. Good. Very, very good. The sales manager it is. My father smiles and winks at Murphy. He stands and so does Murphy, and they shake hands across the table. I stand and extend my hand, and Murphy gives me a firm handshake along with a teeth-bearing look. Every muscle in my face is resisting, but I get the smile out while shaking his hand. Welcome aboard. Well, I'm going to have to leave you two. I have some calls to make. My father makes his exit, leaving the boardroom door open. What a great guy. It had to be wonderful having such a powerhouse for a father. Shall we move through the paperwork now or later? He asked, still showing his teeth but not smiling. Never is what I want to say to his smug ass, but what I say is later. After the offer letter is drawn, and again, welcome. I will contact you this afternoon and set up the time. Vincent steps away from the table with an attaché case in his hand as both Kearney and Akron enter the boardroom. We heard from the boss. Welcome, bro, Japan. That means you won't be playing in the Chicago League. See ya. Akron is joyous. Both he and Kearney are patting Vincent on the back. The three have huddled together at the head of the table. I exit and head to my makeshift office. The walls of the hall seem to be moving past me, and it feels like I'm walking uphill. Stopping at the water fountain, I actually have to grab the chrome sides to balance myself. I bend the drink and the water splashes on Murphy's packet, but the good paper holds the ink and the print doesn't run. At my desk, the scent of fresh jasmine has returned. I sit and breathe it in. Equals, not in this lifetime. While putting Murphy's packet in my desk drawer, the cigarettes and lighter taken from Kearney catch my eye. Why not? I tap a cowboy killer from the pack and flip the top of the Zippo and spin the wheel. The fire dances forth at the first attempt. The cigarette is in the flame and I inhale. With a flip of my wrist, I snap the Zippo closed. Leaning back in my chair, I blow a cloud that lingers over my desk. I inhale and blow another. I put the cigarette out on the corner of my cheap desk, pick the phone up and dial my brother's number. Todd Reynolds, he answers on the first ring. Is the offer still on the table to work with you? Always, Calvin. Full partner when you walk through the door. I'm on my way. There's nothing I need to take from my desk, but I do pick up the jasmine plant, the lighter, and the smoke.
Wow.
Why you like that one?
I like that one because it's I think it's still go on. You know, they have to have a certain quota of different nationalities and jobs and things like that. But what I really like about this story, I've seen quite a few things. I was wondering about the relationship. And then it kind of tells, like in the story about the relationship, seemed like the father only cared about business and family was second. So help me with that part right there as far as the relationship between the father and son.
Well, yeah, as a writer, I give you where they are at that point in time. At that point in time, it is all about, business. And then you get a little bit of history of knowing that his father came to a sporting event and knowing how the relationship has always been. They have privilege, but it doesn't, it wasn't because it didn't hug. It wasn't that type of environment. It was, hey, let's get the job done. Let's move on. You won a tennis award. I'm going to come say congratulations. That's it. So what I was showing there was that basically that there was a problem, and he recognized that there was a problem with Warm, but he didn't know how it had affected him overall.
And then the brother is obviously, I think, older, his brother, when he just wasn't taking it.
Yeah. Yeah, his brother was like, no, I'm not, I'm when he started his own business. But that, again, that's showing the privilege. Yeah, daddy's business may not have been okay, but he had enough resources out of college to go and start his own business. Which, a lot of people don't have. That definitely comes with privilege in this society.
And then also, it seems like he wanted to be true to his prejudice. Like him and his dad, they had some things that they just kind of hold on to, the family thing. And he got pretty upset and heated, wanted his dad to, it seemed like he was somewhat betrayed, especially somewhere along the line. I'm thinking as a reader that they stayed true they didn't want that many blacks, and this is how they do it. And then different one of those guys in there, can't remember their name right off, that they they, like they said, they associate with black people, but then in the office they have their little little racial things that they do. And so I felt as a reader that he was sort of felt betrayed by his father behavior at that time, and then offered him the position, and then going behind him and in his face, not really giving him that position and honoring that the guy does have those type of skills to fit it.
Well, he gave him the position. It's just the fact they're going to be equals. And I think what I was trying to show there was that it was about black is green is stronger than black. Okay. When Vincent Murphy came in with connections, money, plus he spoke Japanese, I was showing where a qualified person would do. And so he did have some privilege. He plays basketball with Obama. He is on a privileged level. The father was like, hey, come on in. Whereas the son was like, wait, you're going to bring him in as my equal to a position I had to wait for, and you're going to give it to this guy? So what I was showing there is that privilege can surpass racism on a certain level if you got that money, which is what happened here. He's like, come on. Now, who knows how they're going to treat him in that position? But initially, come on in, join. Yeah, welcome. Since you got more than me, come on.
Wow. And you think that this, is just like it's just a book, but really there's some things going on in the office. Any more office chat or things at the cooler that you would bring out another book? Because I think those characters, I like that. I don't see, some readers like to see sequels, and some people say I don't do sequels, and the story is basically done when it's done. You think you'll do another office cooler chat or family business something?
Oh, yeah, we'll see. It depends on if it's needed to the story. If the story needs it, yeah. I've done sequels though. I've got the One Day a Preacher, One Day a Lawyer, One Day a Doctor series, and so I do write series, so I'm not against sequels. I've got a piece being considered now by Urban Books called A Mama's Girl. And there may be a sequel to that one too. That may be out
I can't wait.
Middle of next year. But yeah, that's a good one. I think you'll like that one too. Yeah, I was happy Urban Carl and them picked it up. So I'm pretty excited about that.
A very prevalent story, Acorns in the Skillet. We got some people. Go ahead.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. But that's going to be released under the name
Jones.
Daybreak Jones. It's a pen name. Yeah, Daybreak Jones. But I'll let you guys know.
We got a couple of people here on the line. Tell them about the book again, just kind of refresh. And then also, once you refresh them on that story, I'd like to ask you, at this very prevalent time in life and what's going on in life, what made you grab that story, Acorns in a Skillet?
This is a racially tense time in the country, and writers write comment on what they see in society. That's what a writer does, and these are my comments on different racial situations that I see. And as a writer, I feel as though it's my job to inform. So if I can make you more aware of the situation, if someone reads this book and they didn't know that they didn't see that their behaviors, read the story we just read, and they know that these behaviors, oh wow, I do that. But hopefully this story would tell them, well, that's a little racist. If you're doing this, be aware that you are being racist. And because a lot of people just are involved in systematic racism or systemic racism, systematic or systemic, and don't know that they're involved in it. They don't know that they're supporting the status quo, holding others down. They just don't know it. It's because it's a system. You're a cog in the wheel. You get dropped into here, you do this. You see a name, Vincent Murphy. Oh, it's black already. It's Italian and Irish mixed. It's a black name, but he lives on the South Side. It's black. You having those thinking is racecraft already. You're already being crafted by this thought. He's not white, he's black, and that's racecraft. When you have that thought, that's race. That's why the title, when I understood
Wow.
that's
And
why
we
it
hear a
fits so
lot of
perfectly. It was
times,
going to be stories of racism,
even now to this day,
but
I hear
race
about,
isn't strong enough.
when you name your
racecraft
children,
is.
make sure you name them in a name that if they get a job or something, they won't look at them like you got Shakita Lou or, some of those names, Wakusha, they just name people, and
Right, and that we should be able to name right, but that's wrong. Just to do that is wrong because we should be able
yeah.
to name our child whatever. Why should I have to think that my child has to have a name that a white person will accept? That's racecraft, because what the white people have the job, so thereby my child has to have a white name. I can't. I may want to name my child collard greens and turnips, but I can't because you're not gonna hire him collard greens and turnips. Racecraft. That's it. And I, another purpose of writing the book was to even let us know as Black people, hey, it affects you too. You may not think you're being systematically
Yeah.
altered your thinking, but we have been, yeah, we have been. And as a writer, it's my thing to kind of point it out. Yeah. So that's the reason behind writing it. It's just my comment. Sterling Plump, poet, award-winning poet, once told me, he's like, a good writer has something to say, but a good Black writer has something to say about his or her community. And I've always held that, that's like my starting point. So even in my mysteries, there's always racial issues. Even in my erotica, there's racial issues. And everything I write across different genres. But within these genres, I'm always conscious of race. When I was a newer writer, I should say, this lady, I was in Maryland at the Barnes and Noble, and she's like, "Well, race shouldn't always be what you write about. You should." I was like, "It's not. I don't solely write about race, but it is definitely a theme in all of my workings." Well, I hope that changes. I was like, I don't. I don't, because I came up under reading John A. Williams, Richard Wright, Chester Himes. These are the people, Stokely Carmichael. These are the people, Toni Morrison, Walter Mosley. These are the people I read. So reading them, and I never saw them not write about race. So why would me, a generation behind them, not write about race? I don't think things have gotten to the point where we could say, "Oh, race is no longer an issue in America." No.
Wow.
No.
Tell them
Not in my
about the book
writing anyway.
again, the Acorns in the School, the meaning behind that. I love how you say it so well about what it is.
Okay. Well, the title Acorns in a Skillet. Each ethnic group, each racial or ethnic group, whatever you want to call us, has cultural elements that encase us. And within these encased elements, we are acorns. Okay. To give you an example, Black people may dress up to go to church on Sunday. So this is one thing that has that is on an outer part of us. Whereas white people, Catholics go, not saying that all Catholics are white because they're Black Catholics, but they may go in jeans and a t-shirt, But when you see these Black Baptists, he got on his good shirt, his tie, his hat, her hat, and they off to church. So those different things are the part of our outer. So within that outer shell, we sometimes conflict. But this is what makes us us. So we are acorns within the skillet being America. I personally think that things within the skillet are better than outside the skillet. Even though we may conflict in the skillet, if we get outside of here, we can fall in the fire and roast. So I personally, don't get me wrong, I ain't in love with this country, but I think this is the country I know. This is what I'm familiar with. I've traveled a little bit. And I'm always glad to get home, but that's just, me. I like McDonald's, although they got McDonald's everywhere, but, there's just certain things about home that I like. And I'm sure being Afro-American, that's because of being raised here. This is my history. This is where I can't tell you, but not saying that I don't recognize it, but I can't tell you where in Africa I come from. But I can tell you that my granddaddy was on 47th Street. I can tell you that my folks. I can't tell you that.
Wow.
So right.
But,
I got
I'm
that
glad you said
information for
acorns
you.
when I think about it. I don't know acorns that well as it being in a skillet if it would pop like popcorn. But the first thing I could think about, if you have popcorn in the skillet, that's going to pop. But the acorn being in that fire, I never tried to roast them or anything like that. It just the depiction of the picture I can see it just whole. It stays. That's weird to even try to put acorns in the skillet. You know what I'm saying? So I like, what made you think acorns?
Right, because our things that encase us in the culture don't change. The same things that I identified as being Black, my grandfather identified as being Black. Certain things change. I hopefully we get more accepting of each other, but certain things that without sounding monolithic, but Black people don't do that. You know what I'm saying? These are some of the things that encase us, but it changes and it gets bigger and it gets separate. But I remember when I was younger, I would
I
Black
used to
people
say
don't
that
become
too.
serial killers. Well, that has changed a little bit, So, right, but things change, but yet and still, we still hold on to certain things that make us Black or make us Afro-American. And that, I don't know, and that's the outer. But there's certain things that make a person white. Certain things that they say that white people don't do, or Irish people. Irish people do this, Irish people do that. Italians don't do this. They are encased in their ethnicities as well. And we are encased in ours. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it is an existing thing. I think that's true. And the skillet itself is America. Within America, we exist. We may bump into each other. We exist.
I see one.
And it's better, again,
Wow.
here
I see.
than not
I'm
here.
looking at some of the comments on the
So that's what I
side.
mean by acorn.
You'll see it say that Zoloft Kate enjoyed the conversation. You are correct in your responsibility as a writer. Thank you for that. And then have you already explained the acorns? I don't know if she's still there. Candace, are you still there? And hopefully you got a chance to hear him say it. Yeah. Okay, good. Are there any questions that you would like to ask? I really enjoy Tony. I've known him, and I didn't even realize I've known you from your first book, One Day at the Preacher. And we read that as a book club, and I was like, whoa, I can't remember the story, but I remember that it was a good book. And so that's what we read. And I reading the story, I didn't meet you at that time, and I didn't even know that I would meet you. And so you been here about 2 or 3 times here. The first time was like 5 years ago, and Facebook will remind you of your things. Are there any more questions on there? And
yeah, because I think One Day a Preacher, it was the first published book, Black Words. Kwame Alexander had a press in Virginia then called Black Words, and he published it first. And then I did Prayer of Pray, which is eventually titled Street Possessions. And then I switched to Urban Books, and I did with Carl. He redid One Day Preacher, and I did One Day Lawyer with him, and Chasing.
wow.
And he retitled Prayer of Pray into Street Possessions. And then I've been with Penknife Press and Prosperity Publications. That's who did Acorns and the Skillet. And Almost Grown was done by Golden Butterfly. I've had
Wow.
3 Southern publishers.
Wow.
I'm sitting here realizing.
So you still have them, or you kind of
change
change different publishers different times?
I go back and forth. Which is fortunate for me. But again, since I cross genres, I don't stay. And this is something I didn't want my career to be. I don't want to be just a mystery writer. I don't want to just be just an urban writer. Carl will publish my urban. Penknife Press will publish my social consciousness. Carl also is publishing some of my young adult. Butterfly, Golden Butterfly publishes my young adult. So I've been lucky in the sense that I don't have to stay just doing this, you know. So
Oh my
I'm currently
gosh.
working on a vampire espionage piece. So, you know, I like to write, and if I do enough research, you know, so I can find somebody who will publish what I've written. And sometimes I write what the publisher wants. As a writer, some publishers will say, "Hey, do you have this?" And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can try,
Wow.
you know, because you got to eat
That
too.
is really something else that you. So when you mentioned genre,
Hmm.
I know you say you do different genres. So what are an urban, and then name a few more of the genres you're in.
Oh, urban, mystery, young adult, um, um, urban romance, and currently doing thriller. Well, I've done a thriller because Street Possessions was thriller. That was really, and actually that was I
Wow.
think it won an Black Expression. It won the Black Expression Thriller of the
Congratulations
Year
on
for
that.
what was it,
I thought
2001 or something.
Emotional
So I
Driven
was,
is that one
yeah,
part about
yeah, it
that
was pretty good.
one lady that was in the basement. I thought that was thrillerish. That was scary to me. That was really scary. It was like you wanted more,
Oh
but then
yeah,
it's the
yeah,
kind of book that
yeah.
you read under the cover with a light and hope that your light don't go out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think what threw people off is they were thinking it was going to be just erotica, and I was like, no, I clearly put it on the cover: love, lust, addiction. You know, so there's three. It was the three themes. You know, but people
It
that
was
read it love
crazy.
it. You
And
know,
I
they're
didn't
like, man,
realize
that
it
was
was
crazy.
erotica. I
What,
thought it
you
was
know?
just different
So
love themes.
yeah, and that's
Wow.
yeah, but it has some erotic in there. You know, and that's kind of I wouldn't mind that's how I like my career to be. You know, I want you to read me because it's a Tony Lindsay book. You know, you
That's
like
you already there.
people
I
say,
think you
well,
already
Tony
there
wrote
for
it, I'm
me
gonna read
because
it. That's what I like.
just
You know,
to say I want to read
yeah.
Tony Lindsay book, that's not how I got your book. We just see, we all went out and went and, looked on the shelf and see what we
Hmm.
want, at the store. And then I love the book cover. I can't remember, you know, yeah, yeah,
It was a church. It was at church. Yeah, a guy did from DC did the cover. Kwame found him. He was doing Kwame's graphics at that time, and Kwame's blowing up now. He's big in young adults. So I don't even know if he's still publishing.
wow.
He's got like three. He just won
Yeah,
the
I like
Blueberry
that.
Award, so he's
That's
doing big
what got
things.
me is the book cover.
Yeah.
Sometimes people may think the book cover is. Sometimes that could hurt you too because it'd be a good read, and the book cover is just all messed up, and you don't want to read it. So, you know, those things like that. But
Yeah.
I enjoy your writing, but I hadn't read One Dead Lawyer. I'm gonna have to read those. I'm gonna look into that. And you told me one kind of look at More Boy Than Girl. Could you tell me about that again? I remember you told me the title. I don't
Oh yeah,
remember what it's
definitely.
about.
Well, More Boy Than Girl is a story of a female pimp, but what you see is the reason I wrote the story is people, kids, because I was talking to kids after I did Fat from Papa's Head, which is a collection of short stories for young adult males. Um, and when I was talking to them, they kept telling me about, oh, this is pimping, that is pimping. And I looked at them, I was like, do you really know what pimping means? And they were like, yeah, it's cool, but you know, it's pimping, it's all right. I was like, no. So I wrote More Boy Than Girl to address the term of pimping. And people always think it's a man, but this is a female pimp. And kind of hopefully will bring a little
Wow.
light to what pimping really
Wow.
means
I can
when you
imagine
see
just
her as a
being, if
pimp.
they a
So,
prostitute, just to say they get their money on, they work hard, some days, disrespected, take the disrespect, whatever the man wants, different things. I can see that being in that sense like that, she probably would go hard.
well, it's it's street lit, and I like think it's probably some of the um, best street lit out. With my street lit, I've always done things that were different. Chasing It was probably the first book in history with a parental advisory sticker on it. And I'm pretty sure I never saw one before they put one on my book. But yeah, so that came out. So, and I did that, I've always tried to have with my urban fiction or street lit a different twist to it, more than just make it about the milieu of the streets.
So you were born and
think I've
raised
been
in Chicago?
Successful in that. So
Yeah, me too. Me too. Wow. So you get to do some of those things. We got some people here on the line. Hello, Randolph from Florida. Thanks for joining us. Again, we have author Tony Lindsay here. You're welcome. And we're talking about his book, Acorns in a Skillet. I don't know. Oh, I got it upside down. So y'all can see it from there. And oh, I've been reading it. I didn't want to show it. I didn't want to show it. I read hard, y'all. I read hard. I don't want to show it. Maybe you should show your crystal clear one.
Mine ain't
yours
too
is so much
better.
So much. Tell me, hey, Ellen, you read so hard. Are there any questions on the floor from what you've heard right now? And Tony Lindsay, you're author of how many books you've written?
That's a good question. Let's see. One Day a Preacher, Prayer Pray, One Day a Lawyer, Chase Smith.
Did you hear what I said? That's what I was like.
Well,
I was like, acorns. And I said that earlier.
Well, you know what? The imagery, maybe they could pop in the growth, but just they don't pop, because even if you roast them, they don't pop. And that's why I chose that, because even though it may be a hot situation, things in the country may be heating up, but each ethnicity is going to stay the same. We're going to bump into each other. But if we popped, maybe that's what they need to do. Maybe we need to pop all, become one America. But I don't think that'll ever happen. I think because we learn so much from each other. I'll incorporate something from this group, that group incorporates something from us. We incorporate things from each of our cultures, and each one within our own little acorn.
Randolph said he's Cherokee, and he loves it. Well,
yeah, I don't think we will. Hopefully, we won't pop. But if we do, I'm sure it will pop into a
Randolph
good way.
Loves the cultures and what it meant. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we all should join each other, and just learn from each other cultures. Not to make it all really exactly.
One doesn't have to dominate another one. I could respect your culture, and I will learn from your culture.
Shamrock from Irish.
I've learned. Yeah, right. So you learn different things from different people, which makes America unique. I cook all kind of stuff that I learned from other people. I go over this guy's house, they know a different way to cook potatoes and how to make different salads, and I learn.
Irish people love to drink,
which is really really cool.
He said Irish people love to drink, but that's what we should do. We all people, and us coming from the military, we know that there's color, but being in the military, you are diverse. It's not like you could pick your neighborhood. You'll live with diversity of people. Whereas when we got out of the military, my kids have never lived in an all Black neighborhood. They've always lived in a diverse. And so even when they went to school, they was like a little shocked when they had more Blacks, because we're more diverse. And then to one of my just then to hear the different things and see how you just set in your own, I'm just going to live on a Black street. There's no other, but you're just taught to be diverse when you're in the military. We got some things on the side over here. Randall said, I'm also Irish, but I like to embrace my Cherokee heritage, though. That's awesome. And then Shamrock said, my best friend is Nigeria. And that's no joke. And then he also mentioned what military of the branch did you serve in? Did you serve in the military? But with me, my husband served. With me, my husband, he was in the the Navy.
Yeah. No. Nope, I was never in the military. Which is, I was fortunate enough. I was after the Vietnam era and before Desert Storm. So I grew up in a rather But it was peace during the time when I was draft of age. We weren't in any major wars.
And I know, like, with you
which was
coming
good.
from Chicago, I know you heard of Cicero. Remember where Cicero is? I remember we lived in a suburban. We live in East Chicago Heights, way down there outside of Halsted, Madison. You go outside of there and you go to Chicago Heights. It's a little dot, but I remember when we moved there. Yep, but
I
I'm
know where
outside.
Chicago.
East Chicago
I
Heights,
was in
they call
Chicago
it
Heights
Fort Heights,
yesterday.
Fort Heights now. And
Right.
oh, well, you know,
Right. Fort Heights, Robbins,
I'm in Thugville.
Harvey.
You know, I'm in Thugville.
Yeah.
But anyway, being down there, I remember when we
right.
first lived there, when as a little child, it was just nothing but a lot of field, a few outhouses, and then they developed. So he was there when they developed. I think my dad and them came in the 50s, you know, late 50s and stuff like that, because I was born in the 60s. So I could see all that, and, you know, a village helped raise the family and all that stuff. So it was, you know, stay outside, everybody eat popcorn, you know, door unlock, you know, all that good stuff, you know. And I can remember when we, as I got older, that's the reason why I'm mentioning Cicero. I remember how we lived, you know, they were doing, for some reason, they were throwing bricks at every other car. So we happened to be the other car, because the car behind us got bricked. And I was like, wow, because, you know, it's a lot of stuff over there. And then Cadville and, you know, K-Town, everything's with a K and all that stuff. And then when I got older,
all the streets with K's. Yeah.
I lived on Damon and Webster and off of Horn. So they got some things over here. Who is Kwame Alexander? Tony mentioned it.
He's a writer, a publisher, a poet. He's on Facebook. His new book, or his older book, won the Newbery. And maybe I do a search and get the title of his book while I'm online. Let me see here. I can open up another screen. I go online.
Okay, and then also I see Shamrock said he couldn't join the Marines because of criminal order. And okay, I see. She said in book. Yeah. Any more question, guys? Tony is very interesting. I really enjoy talking with him.
Yep. So the look for the new title or new titles and order Acorns, man. I think you'll like. I think people are surprised when they read it because the stories are diverse in nature.
They are.
And they're page turners. At least I hope that they're page turners. You know, I hope that they're page turners. Kwame Alexander.
According to Wikipedia, Kwame Alexander is an American writer of poetry and children's fiction.
Sorry about that. Yeah, because one's called The Crossover. That's the award winner. I'm going to type this up so we can get this. And the newest one is Book. Yeah, Booked. Oh, he asked me Booked. Yep, that's the newest one. Yep.
You guys missed the catacall what he was reading. I do.
I'm surprised you like that story.
It's a lot of stuff. Oh, while they're on here, you can you know how I did last time, just tell them what each chapter means, so that way they'll get a.
Okay. Well, we've got 11 stories, and the first one is Stop and Frisk, which is a story of how that policy can affect the young man. In this story, you have a young man who is going on an altered path in his life. He's decided to make some changes, but this law is so brutal that it sends him back to the path that he changed from. Homegrown is a story of a man who wants to assimilate so badly that he becomes psychotic in his behaviors. A Church Mourning is a rite of passage story. It's a story about a young woman who has moved beyond where she was in life. And so you see that change. The Cattle Call is a story we read about a young man who doesn't think he's prejudiced. He thinks he's very diverse in his attitude. So that's a Cattle Call. A Sunny Day in the Park, it's about a woman who comes to face with privilege from a source that she didn't expect. It's about a young girl's privilege and actually her death coming into contact with that. Smart Kid is a story about a young man who doesn't know he's intelligent, who doesn't know that his behavior is what's linked to what people call intelligent. The Process is a story of grief and death. It's the story of the process, the dying process. It's a good story. Even though it's about a sad topic, I think you'll get some laughs out of it. I think it'll make you laugh a little bit. Interview with the Killer, it's about the recent police shootings, and it's from a cop's perspective, not necessarily the victims. Lab Coat Required, it's about two different girls with a common female issue that they have to deal with. The Marked Man, that's science fiction speculative, more speculative than sci-fi, during a time when melanin can be sold. And Operation Tooth Fairy is our last story. This is the story of inclusion. I show how I think a good family does work. You know,
Tony, it's just about over, but you feel like another reading the church story? Are you ready to shut it down or what? Okay.
Sure. Which one?
Morning.
Which one you want me to read? A Church Morning? Sure. Page 10. So this is on page 10, and it's called A Church Morning. He placed his hands on the small of my back while opening the church door for me. The very first sight I see is Sister Mildred's wide pink chiffon-covered backside pointing at us from the top of the stairs. She's stepping up into the lobby, and behind her, at the bottom of the stairs, all I see are pink ruffles ahead. When I look to Henry to see if he noticed her ruffled layer hips, his blue eyes are on me, and he's smiling. Dang, I love this man. The church is closer than I thought. It didn't take us 20 minutes to get here, Harry says, opening his suitcase while allowing me the steps. Sister Mildred has rustled herself from view, so I began stepping up the stairs. I don't know if it was a short distance or the speed you drove that got us here so fast, I say. When I get to the top of the staircase, I step into the bright morning sun beaming through the high church windows. The glass isn't stained, so the sun fills the lobby. It feels like a personal welcoming, and I love it. A crowd for first service, even on Easter Sunday, is a rarity. Daddy was pleased with the crowd. The ushers have opened the doors of the sanctuary, and the noisy, colorful congregation is moving through them. Little girls in yellow, pink, and white dresses with clacking black patent leather shoes are catching my eyes. I hear mothers directing, "Stop running, get over here, pull that up, tuck that in." And I have missed it all. The sighs and sounds of families coming together to praise warms my spirit. I'm doing the right thing. From behind me, Henry asks, "Which way?" "To the left," I tell him. My brother always sits to the left of the main aisle. We will sit with him this morning. The congregation is moving swiftly through the doors. Henry and I are walking behind the young family. I recognize the mother, Meredith Stewart, now Meredith Anderson. She and I were the youth ushers together. She is now a mother of 3. The oldest girl looks to be about 6. The last time I saw Meredith, she was getting married. That was about 7 years ago. I have been absent from this church a little over 6 years. The daughter has on a bright purple dress and is pushing her younger brother through the doors. If memory serves me right, Meredith likes to sit in the 3rd row with her mother-in-law, Mrs. Anderson. I spot my brother sitting with his husband, Matthew. My mother married them in this church 8 years ago, despite my father's and the deacon board's protests. But she's the pastor of the church, and the congregation loves her, so she was able to do what she thinks is God's will. I love this church, but my theft of $6,300 from the missionary account kept me away. The repayment is in my purse in cash. My parents and brother told me the money wasn't important. They and the church wanted me back. I've been recognized while Henry and I are walking up the side aisle. People are waving, so I'm returning waves, nods, and smiles. Henry reaches back for my hand. He grabs it and squeezes it. We stop at my brother's row, and he still hasn't seen us. "Juanita?" a voice from behind calls. I turn to see Mother York, the church treasurer who discovered my theft. She reported my deed to the deacon board before she told my mother. I command my face to smile and will my arms to raise and open in a hugging gesture. Mother York doesn't hesitate to step into the embrace. She smells like Bengay and green rubbing alcohol. It's so good to see you back, Juanita. Her hug is tight enough to make me believe her words. For a skinny old lady, she has considerable strength. It's good to be back, Mother York. Praise him. We prayed you back into this church, she says into my ear, breaking the embrace. I don't doubt that my mother and other saints prayed me back, but it's hard for me to imagine Mother York bending an arthritic knee for me. We nod and smile again at each other and proceed to our seats. My brother and his husband see us now. Hey, Henry and Juanita. My brother gives us both his toothy grin. Jeremy, Matthew. Henry speaks but lets me enter the row first. My brother Jeremy stands and we embrace. I saw that wicked witch of a York stalking you from the lobby. She pushed past people to get to you. Stop it, I say, because Mother York is sitting directly behind us and she could easily hear him. My brother has never been nice when speaking of church mothers. I think it was all the swats on the butt and ear pulling they gave him as a little boy. It's true. She talked to you. It's true. She stalked you, Jeremy says. We sit grinning at each other like we used to when we were kids. He was 4 years older. I kept him out of trouble at church. He was the bad preacher's kid, not me. Looking around, I estimate about 75 people in the sanctuary. My mother held her first service when only 5 members came, despite the deacons, which included my father's protest. 75 members is a long way from 5. My mother has more faith than any person I know. She trusts completely in God and believes he will provide all her needs. Jeremy's husband, Matthew, leans forward, looks at Henry and says, Henry, I would like you to represent me in my divorce. He is speaking over me and my brother Henry. He is not whispering, not yelling, but he's not discreet, as my mother would have said, not using a church voice. On the grounds of adultery, he continues, looking at Henry, waiting for an answer. I look at my brother, and he has the same toothy grin on his face that he greeted us with. His big brown eyes, innocent looking to most people, are telling me he is guilty. As a child, he told me, a grown person believes lies when you look them straight in their eye. So he always looked grown people in the eye when he was lying. Adults would be fooled, but I wouldn't be. I saw the eyes when he would say no, yes. I took $1 out of the collection plate. Yes, I ate the cookies on the saint's table. Yes, I smoked a cigarette in the deacon's hall bathroom. Yes, I pulled the fire alarm. Yes, I cheated on my husband. My fiance, Henry's clear blue eyes dart from Matthew to me, back to Matthew, to talk out service. My lady fiance suggests in a discreet church voice. The tips of my ears and the base of my neck are turning red. Oh, the tips of his ears and the base of his neck are turning red. Why? Matthew sits prone. The other adulterer is right here, sitting right over there with family. He nods his head like a pointing finger. I try not to look at who he's nodding his head towards, but I can't help myself. The only family in the direction of his nod is Dr. Anderson and Meredith. No. I look at my brother who is still grinning yes. Oh my God, I'm leaving, I tell my brother. He merely raises his eyebrows and keeps smiling. The organ begins to play, and the choir is entering the stand from both sides. What a friend I have in Jesus. I'm looking at the combined church choir instead of my brother. I would leave because I hate confrontation. My reason for being here is not about my brother. We're not leaving, are we? Henry asked in response to my statement. He knows why we are here and how important making the amends is to me. No, I answer, reaching for and holding on to his hand. My eyes are pulled to the harmonizing of the choir. I sang in the combined church choir from my 13th birthday until I left at 26. I never sang in the teen choir or the women's choir, just the combined church choir. There were about 10 of us that only sang in the combined choir. Dr. Anderson, Vincent was one of the 10, and Vincent was also who I lost my virginity to, me and Meredith both. He was cute, smart, quiet, and never kissed and told. It was us girls that told. I cut my eyes over to my brother who was no longer smiling, but he's looking straight ahead and not at his husband, Matthew. I leaned to his ear. But Vincent is not gay. My brother's big toothy grin returns. One mustn't make assumptions, he says with his big brown eyes still on the choir. I lean away from him and sit up straight. My mother enters the pulpit with the choir still singing. She is wearing a white Cossack trimmed in purple. She must have rolled her hair to the back last night because her light brown curls are flowing back and hanging midway down her back. She does a little holy dance to the rhythm of the choir in front of the oak podium, and the congregation stands and claps. Others throughout the church join my mother in her holy dance. The organs and the drums take the lead, and the church is in a joyous uproar. We are all standing and in some type of motion, but everyone is not joyous. Matthew isn't. His glare remains on the Andersons. He raises his hands overhead, and my attention focuses on his perfectly manicured and clear polished nails until he screams, Jesus, save us all. Save us, Lord, from the sins of the flesh. You know my heart, Lord. You know it. I am not the only one startled by his scream. My brother is no longer ignoring him. Matthew is crying. The tears are running down his cocoa brown cheeks. My brother attempts to embrace him, but Matthew violently moves away. And once he starts moving, he keeps moving down the row. He gets to the center aisle and brusquely walks towards the Andersons. My brother steps behind him. Confess, Matthew screams. Confess to the Lord this congregation your adulterous sins, you harlot. He has already drawn his arms back to strike, but my brother is there to corral him. Oh my God, it isn't Victor he's trying to attack. It's Victor's wife, Meredith. The deacons and some ushers have surrounded my brother and his husband. They are roughly moving them from the sanctuary. Too rough for my liking, so I stand and quickly follow. I catch up with them at the door leading to the back offices, meeting rooms, and Deacon's Hall. I grab the door just before it locks. My mother is exiting from the pulpit door as Henry and myself enter the hallway. The deacons and ushers are moving like a security unit protecting the president. They enter through the double doors of the Deacon's Hall as one. We, my mother, Henry, and to my shock, Mother York are right behind them. I think it's strange that Matthew isn't yelling and screaming, considering seconds ago he was a rabid dog. When we all enter the Deacon's Hall, no one is saying anything. The crowd of deacons disbands and leaves my brother and his husband standing in front of the long meeting table. My brother and his husband are wearing matching brown suits and brown wingtip shoes. Jeremy is in finance, so the suit and shoes are appropriate for him. Matthew doesn't work, and to my knowledge, he hasn't worked since he was 19. My mother clears her throat to speak. What was happening out there? Ask your son, Matthew snipes, looking hard at Jacob. Sweat is seeping from his forehead. There's a little spittle on his lips and a little snot hanging from his nose. Some of the deacons sit at the table and others sit at the conference chairs surrounding it. My father remains standing at my mother's side. Mother York, who is standing next to my father, says, No, I think you should tell us, son. I heard what you yelled out in the sanctuary. Believe yourself, son. Jeremy twists his whole body to face her. Why are you here? This has absolutely nothing to do with you. Mother York huffs. As a church mother, everything that happens in this church and this congregation has something to do with me. I love this church and its members. So his outburst in our sanctuary absolutely has something to do with me, young man. Shaking his head, no, my brother says, no. You are not here out of concern for this congregation. You are here being a nosy biddy. Jeremy, my mother and father expel his name as if he were a child. He turns from Mother York and reaches inside his suit coat and pulls out a handkerchief. You need this, he says to Matthew, and signals he needs to clean his nose. Matthew grabs the handkerchief with no thanks. He wipes his nose. Matthew looks at my mother and says, he was sleeping with Dr. Anderson's wife. He is an adulterer. What? My father and a couple of other deacons asked simultaneously. They look just as shocked as I am. Neither here or the church sanctuary is a place to discuss such private family matters. This is Easter Sunday. We have a congregation waiting to praise the Lord. Jeremy and Matthew, I'm going to ask you to wait here until after service. And you are free to leave and we can get a session later. But I don't want you to return to the service this morning. You son of a bitch, is yelled from the doorway. Dr. Anderson is standing there trembling. I trusted you, man. The deacon raises up from their seats. Whoa, no, no, no. This is not going to happen here. Not like this. My mother directs with hands up in traffic guard fashion. No, not like this. I will meet after the service in my office with both families. No, I don't see the need, Dr. Anderson said. There's very little to talk about, Pastor Jackson. My wife ran out of the church and left me and the children sitting in the pew. So the truth speaks for itself. My friend, my best friend, fucked my wife. He deflates right in front of us all. He turns and walks away. You have to return to the pulpit, Mother York tells my mother. I know, my mother snaps back. She takes a breath. Thank you. She takes another breath and leaves without saying another word. Everyone follows except Jeremy and Matthew. When walking to our seats, I hear comments that surprise me. There's always some mess when she comes. Whatever happened, you best believe she's part of it. What did she steal now? Preacher's kids are always the worst. I know she ain't messing with a white boy. You know she was on that stuff bad. When we sit, I think I imagine comments until Henry grabs a hold of my hand and says, ignore ignorance. I love you, and you are the very strongest person I know. It feels like eyes are boring through me. But when I look around the congregation, everyone is looking at my mother in the pulpit. Like our Lord, we raise from the death of sins. None of us are without sin. None of us are finished sinning, rather through omission or commission. Let he who has not sinned throw the first stone. The good Lord knows the flesh is weak. He sent his son down to help us and forgive us because he knew. Lord, we know we are weak. Let he who has not sinned throw the first stone. Preach, Mother York shouts from behind us. Preach it, Pastor. Her shouts startled me and loosened my mind. Being in the church has lulled my mind into remembrance and gave life to a part of me that has been eradicated. I don't go to church. I could care less what people in church think about me. It wasn't the theft. It wasn't just the theft and drug usage that kept me away from the church. I stopped believing, not in God, but in the church. I stopped believing in outside interpretation of God. God, my God, is inside of me, and I understand her. I came here to return the money I stole, not to get pulled back into the church. I exhaled and smiled. I leaned over and kissed my blue-eyed boyfriend on the lips and say, thanks for coming with me. I reach into my purse and pull out the envelope filled with the cash. I turn around in the pew and face Mother York. Here is the money I stole from the missionary fund. Will you make sure it gets to the deacons and my mother? I drop the envelope in her lap, not waiting for a response. I stand and Henry stands with me. We both with smiles on my face. Whatever happens to my brother and the Andersons is church business, not mine. I will call my mother and father, and we will talk like we do most Sunday evenings. I won't be calling my brother for a week or so, letting the madness with his marriage settle down. I love this church, but attending it or any church is in my past,
Wow.
and I will not allow it to weigh me down.
What a fiasco. Oh my gosh. You told us about that. Go ahead and give us the interpretation of that. You said it's a coming of age type of thing that they have going on.
Yeah, she came to the realization that, the people within this congregation was no longer part of her life. She came to make an amends. She brought the money back. But when she got there, she got pulled into, how memories of, this, that, and everything made her think, oh, well, this is why, But from, she didn't allow the memories or reminiscing to pull her back into something part of her life that she had grown beyond. She had not saying she says it. She didn't grow beyond God, but she grew beyond being part of that church.
Wow.
So she just paid the money and left.
And then you brought out different things, as I say, gay people being in the church, the mother married him. Wow. Woo.
Mm-hmm. And she, the mother was progressive in her thinking, but when she came back, she got some ridicule, had to listen, and she's like, I don't have to go through this. What these people think of me is not important. And she left. She didn't keep going. So that's what and there's different types of stories like that. It's not all about church. It's about, growth, race issues, and that's a lot of race issues. Not only race, but the issues of gay marriages, integration, all within one story, or interracial dating,
Awesome.
all in one story. So I'm pretty proud of the collection. It does what I wanted it to do. It kind of it speaks to different areas that we as a society are going
Candace
through.
gave us those applause, and when Randolph was there, he said, "When I was baptized, the river water was so cold it froze my sins away." Where he at now? He's not on there now. And he also said that he enjoys nonfiction biographies and autobiographies, etc. And so he did mention, now I want to go to the library, guys. Yeah, very good. It's so interesting. I just love hearing you read. I love your work. I really do. And Candace, you're welcome. Candace gave you an applause. She typed the word out, applause. Anybody have any more questions? Thank you guys for hanging on, and those that was in the queue. We're pretty much done. And are there any questions before you go? I don't see none on my end. Yeah.
Okay. Well, great. Thank y'all.
Type it
Acorns in the
there
skillet.
live.
Be sure to order one.
Link.
Oh, it's on Amazon. Now type in the title. Acorns in a skillet. Uh-oh.
And that, that live site, you got the www.pen. You can put that there. Yeah.
Oh, Pen for Hire? Okay. Acorns in a skillet.
Candace, what did you think about the story? So Candace still hanging there with us, and others was in and out. Yeah. She said she's buying it now.
Awesome.
Yeah, pass the word. It's really good. It's thought-provoking. There's a lot of things in there. And very prevalent. This is a good one. I hope it goes far. I hope you at least be nominated or recognized for this great work. It is such a great work here. Yeah, you're
Thank
so
you.
welcome.
Thank you. That means a lot.
So welcome.
That means a lot.
Those that are looking on, and that's in the queue, Acorns in the Skillet, buy it today. It's not on Nook. It's not on Nook, but it is. You can get it at Amazon. You said, right? So she's looking forward to reading it.
Amazon.
More of his work. Great show. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on, Candace.
Great.
She's come in.
Thank you.
Different things. She's also connect me with different peoples and everything. I really enjoy her. I felt like I've known her for years. She's in Louisiana. Did get that water. She did. They had that. Somebody said 9 feet of water. I think it was recently. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But any final words? And I just thank you so much for this time.
All right. Thanks again.
All right. I'm going to record this.
Talking to you soon.
And then you'll see it in a moment.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
All righty.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye now.